All right. I think maybe we have gone live. So let me copy this and make a quick edit here to get the right link to people. Okay. All right. I think it looks like we have a couple people watching, so if you could leave a comment or pop into the chat and let me know if you can hear me, that would be great. Can you hear me? Let's see here. Okay, let me get this link. Okay, and then we'll go here, here. Here, and let's change that. Okay, change that to this. Okay. All right, I think I see someone watching. If you could let me know if you could hear me by tossing a comment, that would be great. I'm just about ready to start here. I am, let's see. Okay. Chat, save, share that. Okay, and then you just need to toss this in here. Okay, and we are live on my website, and okay, publish that. Okay, and so then, okay, all right, well, let's dive in. Welcome, everyone. I am Allison KT, and I am a strategy consultant as well as a strategic life coach. What I love doing is helping people kind of dream really big and then do the things that it will take to make those dreams come true. And so I have created a couple tools that can be used to help you kind of figure out what some of those dreams for your life are, and then break that into actionable steps. And then we go one step further and we put those steps into our actual calendar. Because when it comes to goal setting, there are kind of three things that I find that are critical for your success. And that is, number one, clarity. And so I've got some tools, and we'll do some talking today about clarity and kind of developing that. And then the next section is integrating, and that is really taking those goals and putting them into your actual life. And then the third kind of piece of making your goals happen is that support network. And whether that's working with a coach or just having a friend that you touch base with. And I see Annalie. Hello, Annalie. I'm so glad you're here. Thank you for letting me know that you can hear me. That is good to know that I am not just talking and no one is hearing these words. So thank you. So yeah, I just want to kind of dive in and acknowledge that sometimes scheduling is really complicated. I it can be super tricky to kind of reach our goals. We set goals, but I think there are issues that come up for people when we don't connect the goal to an actual behavior that can be done. We just say things like, oh, I want to be healthier. But we don't necessarily dive into like, okay, so being healthier to me looks like drinking more water, or it looks like eating vegetables twice a day, or it looks like not eating meat, or you give yourself actual things that you can do. So in your brain, you're like, okay, I checked that off today. I am accomplishing that goal. I'm working on it, which is a good feeling. And so I really, what I have put together is all about kind of getting at what those behaviors are, because it's complicated when we're trying to sort of do things but not really know what we're doing. And so I want to jump into this first section of clarity and tell you a little bit about a tool I have. So I'm going to pull a second screen in here so you can see. I'll make myself a little smaller, and we'll get this. This is my Rock Your Resolutions e-workbook. And what this is a great tool for helping you kind of get at what those goals are for yourself. And so what this is, it's a Google Doc that you can open directly into your own your Google system, or you can print it out, kind of whatever works for you. But what we do is you kind of envision where you want to be at the end of 2020. And some of the things that have happened for you that year. And then what we do, which we'll talk about a little bit later on in this webinar, is you figure out your focus areas so you've got some kind of, flag in the ground to aim for. So it's really this clarity piece, because I know this used to happen for me, and I'm sure it happens for a lot of people, but sometimes we go through life and we're just sort of, going along with it. We're not really actively thinking about, like, what can I do to make my life exactly how I want it to be. And, of course, there are situations that occur and things beyond our control that happen, but, by and large, like, we have at least a little bit of say kind of in our reactions to things. So I really encourage people to think about what you want your life to look like and then figure out how to make that happen. And don't feel like you need to tackle everything at once. I think the saying is you eat an elephant one bite at a time. I don't really like that image because elephants are adorable and I don't want to eat them. But it's kind of that notion of one little step at a time. And that is sort of the whole picture behind what I have here with my weekly goal scheduling tool. So it's really all about kind of that clarity aspect, envisioning what you want, and then making it work within your own life. A quick story that I have about that is sort of related, and it's kind of the story of my own health and wellness. For a long time, if you know me in person, I'm about 5 foot tall, so I'm a pretty short human. And I sort of just always thought I would get taller. I saw these images in magazines of tall, lean people, and I was like, I'm kind of short and squatty, but I will grow and I will be long and lean. And then I realized, okay, wait, I don't think my body is going to do that. I don't think that is kind of my future. And I realized that I would be much better off kind of working with what I actually have, like working with what my body actually looks like. And so in my case, I am a short, squatty person, and as I said, and I have very tight, compact muscles. And so I got into weightlifting. And that's much more my kind of, I'm able to get really strong, and I'm this little strong powerhouse. But what I did, all that to say, is that I kind of took my current situation and I kind of put on top of it this other, like, maybe there's another way. And so that's sort of, I made my life. I made a decision about how I was going to react to things going forward, and I kind of let that shape my things. And so what I have done is I've created this weekly goal scheduling tool, and it really kind of helps you write down those actions that I talked about, and get to the second part of integration by putting those into your actual life. And so we'll pull up the weekly goal schedule. Well, before we do that, kind of in the background of that is these focus areas. But actually, we'll come back to that. The weekly goal scheduling tool. Let's take a look at this. So this is free on my website. Let me maybe full screen it here so we have a little bit more vision of what's happening. And I will, how do I arrange to bring this to the front? Yes, there we go. Okay, so I'm going to put myself down here in this corner. Thank you for bearing with me as I figure out live streaming. So this tool that we have here, it's got a couple sections, and so we'll kind of zoom in on them a little bit. Up here, oh, well, that's the fun thing about live. You get to see all the kind of interactions that are happening. So what we have here is your weekly schedule. And so I have it laid out from 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. because I just wanted to be, get everything on there. But you are certainly free to take this side of the scheduler, fix it to your own kind of bedtime, wake up time, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You put in your schedule on that side. And then over on this side, is where you write down those actual items that you want to see happen. And so what we then can do is take those and put those into your actual life, like on your schedule. Wednesday at this time, I'm working on focus area 1, highest priority, then next priority. Like, you give yourself those actual items. And kind of the story behind where this came from is that I people can probably relate, but do you ever feel like you have like 35 tabs open in your brain, and you're like, okay, I'm doing this project, this is great, I'm almost done. Oh, an email. Oh, I need to get that email. Okay, so I need to send this answer over here. What was I doing? Oh, I was doing this. Oh, wait, okay, now somebody's calling me and I'm talking to them on the phone. And then that first task I was doing never gets accomplished, and I have forgotten about something that was mentioned in the email, and it's just like my brain, I can't keep up with all of these jumbled what's happening. I'm just reacting to things. And that's not effective at all. That has led to all sorts of terrible things, like forgetting about projects that were super important until all of a sudden it's been 3 weeks and there's been no action on them. That's not a good feeling. Or somebody calling me and saying like, hey, I thought we had a meeting and you weren't there. And it's like, oh shoot, I didn't write that down because I was doing, so it's a mess. And I have found a way to get away from that. And that is what I want to share with you. And so that is sort of dividing my life into sort of these focus areas, and then scheduling when these focus areas are happening. And so what we're going to do is I'm just going to walk through kind of setting up the schedule for myself, so you can sort of see what that looks like. We can talk through kind of, ways to make it pretty. And so let me kind of zoom myself back out here. So chances are you kind of know what your schedule looks like. You kind of have an idea of what you do week over week over week. And so you can create a template and just copy this from week to week, so you don't have to recreate everything. But I'm going to kind of live make my little template for next week now, here in the next couple minutes. So Monday's date for next week, I believe, is the 2nd. It's the 3rd. Okay, so we'll do, up here I'll do 2/3/2020, and then great thing about doing this in Google Sheets is you can just drag it across and it fills in everything for you up here. And I know that on, this is a good time to have your planner or your Google Calendar, your Apple Calendar, your written calendar, whatever you use, kind of with you. So I know that on Tuesdays, I am typically, I work with the Women's Wellness Center, and so I am there. Oh, I can't do this full screen. Let me unfull screen myself here. Oh, I re-full screened myself. Where is... How did I do that? There we go. Okay, so I'm going to kind of put in like the basic things that I know for sure. So on Tuesday, I am generally out of the house at the Women's Wellness Center from about 12:30 to 3:30. And so I can hit this merge cell to kind of put those together as a block of time. And then I can say Women's Wellness Center. So I know that I will be there at that point in time. And if I want this to be in a different position in the box, I can use this section here to kind of move it around. And so we've got that there. And eventually I get to kind of color coding things, but that's kind of a secondary part. So we've got, I know I'm going to be at the Women's Wellness Center then, and I know that I will be at Evolve at this point. So I'm going to bold that and do that. And then I kind of like it being right in the middle of the box. I know that on Thursday, I'm going to do that again. And so what I can do is I can copy that, pop myself over to Thursday, paste it, bam, already there for me. And then I know that I typically go into the Wellness Center at about, oh, the dog is barking. Sorry about that. I typically go into the Wellness Center during this period of time. And so I'll merge those cells, I'll do my WWC, and then I will put that where I want it to be in the box. And so I've kind of got those two in. I also know that Friday morning I'm going to be doing another webinar. And so that'll be from 10, and I like to, block off a fair bit of time for that. So 10 to 11:30. Actually, honestly, I'll probably be doing a little bit before, so we'll call it 9:30 to 11:30. I'll block that off, and I'll write a webinar. And this is just kind of letting me know, like, okay, these are sort of the basic. This might not be what these boxes say for forever, but I'm kind of putting there in my map, setting a trajectory for myself next week. So I've kind of got my basic, these are the things that are happening. And I don't have my schedule in front of me, but I'm relatively sure I have a doctor's appointment on Wednesday. And so I'm going to kind of block that time out a little bit for myself at the moment. And so then what we do is we're going to talk about this other side of what we're looking at. And so this is the focus area section. And I alluded to focus areas before, but we really get into these focus areas in the Rock Your Resolutions e-workbook. So which right now, if you download your weekly goal scheduler, you get 25% off the Rock Your Resolutions e-workbook, which brings it to $12, which is $1 a month, and $1 a month to kind of have some accountability for your goals, to break down and plan for the year. Totally worth it. But focus areas are one of the things that you can work on in that. And so you kind of pick what you're going to focus on for that period of time. And so ideally, you're kind of picking a couple focus areas for the year. These kind of the e-workbook connects them a bit to resolutions, kind of using that thought process. So what we then have is figuring out where you want to get in these focus areas. And so how that translates is in your weekly goal scheduler, you put down, you color code what your focus areas are. And so I'm actually going to show you a different copy of this real quick. So give me just one sec. We're going to move that. Oh, geez, we're showing. Okay, there we go. So we're going to just grab blah, blah, blah. Give me just one sec. We'll pop open this one here. Sorry, I didn't have it open already, but this is a little example of kind of what this looked like for me last week. And so you can see here my focus areas for last week. I had my Allison KT time, so the time that I'm working on what I'm doing now, this business. Then I also have the time that I'm working with the Women's Wellness Center and Evolve as a color. And then I have a color for kind of responsibilities and the things that I need to accomplish, the bill paying, the grocery shopping, making sure the dog gets to the vet, eating dinner, things like that. And then I have social for when I'm hanging out with friends and different things like that. And so what I did last week is I figured out when I would be at or when I would be working in these different areas. And so I then also put down kind of what my tasks were for that period of time. And so that is a really helpful way to kind of take these tasks and break them into sort of the actual periods of time that I'm going to be working on them. And so we're going to spend a little bit of time doing that now. And so you can kind of see what we've got. So I'm going to show you a little bit now about changing the focus areas section because, I realize that sometimes it gets a little tricky in Excel to make things look pretty and connecting things and all of that. So just kind of showing you what this looks like. Oh no, it looks like maybe the internet is having a difficult time. But what I will do is I will call, oh gosh. Sorry about that. That is unfortunate.